People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. Yeah. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Sheryl Swoopes really went all in with her "nobody wants to play for Indiana" speech, making it sound like the Fever were some kind of disaster zone. She called out the team's locker room issues and claimed free agents were avoiding them like the plague. Bold take, too bad it didn't hold up well over time.
What kind of things do you feel?
I'm not in the locker room.
Okay.
But I'm talking about more social media.
Okay. It's a turn. It's a turn, right? It's really a turn of the tides.
Well, Gil, here's my point. The beginning of the year, right? Everybody saw it.
Fast forward to today, and Indiana just fired back in the best way possible by absolutely owning free agency. And the one leading the charge? Not just some diehard fan in a Fever jersey, it's Sue Bird. Yes, that's Sue Bird. But before we dive into her masterclass in keeping it real, let's take a moment to give Swoopes take the light roasting it deserves.
What it do, peeps? Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave.
This wasn't just some rookie podcaster tossing out a wild take. This was a Hall of Famer going full scorched earth on Indiana's reputation. Swoopes didn't just criticize, she basically hit the panic button, making it sound like Indiana was where talent went to vanish. She painted the locker room as a complete disaster and insisted no real star would ever choose to play there. According to her, Caitlin Clark wasn't just joining a struggling team, she was walking straight into basketball purgatory.
So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they've made.
Turns out, Indiana isn't some wasteland after all, it's the place to be. Free agents aren't avoiding it, they're racing to join the Caitlin Clark movement. And guess who sees it for exactly what it is? Sue Bird. And when Sue talks, the entire league listens.
I think Natasha Howard certainly stands out. I loved playing with Tosh.
But you cannot say enough about
Tosh. I really enjoyed playing with her. I think she really is she's just this glue player that doesn't get enough shine for what she does, because a lot of what she does doesn't show up in the box score, but she just is like always in the right place at the right time. And a player like that, I think complements what Indiana is building.
Because Sue Bird doesn't do empty hype. She's not chasing clout or stirring the pot for attention. This is a 4-time WNBA champ, 5-time Olympic gold medalist, and one of the sharpest minds the game has ever seen. When she speaks, it's not just an opinion, it's a statement.
So Sue Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest.
Let's be clear, Sue didn't hop on the Fever hype train waving pom-poms. She did what any seasoned legend would do, told everyone to pump the brakes on the title talk. Classic Sue, calm, measured, and reminding everyone that championships aren't won through Twitter debates or viral clips of deep threes.
They obviously, through trade, added Sophie Cunningham, a player that, I would say a 3-and-D type player who has, been to the finals, so has that playoff experience. She's also just tough. She's mentally tough. She's physically tough. She brings an edge to them. And then last but not least, they added DeWanna Bonner, which really I think is the one that for most people took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender.
But if you actually listened to Sue, you'd know she wasn't throwing shade. She was issuing a warning. Beneath that calm, level-headed tone, her message was loud and clear. Indiana is building something special. And it's not just the Caitlin Clark highlight reel, though let's be real, Clark is out here making defenders look like traffic cones and dishing out assists like she hates turnovers. Sue sees the bigger picture. She sees the blueprint.
The biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph. So I think that's going to help bridge the gap, because as we go along, we're going to talk about Vegas and Seattle, Atlanta. It's really going to be which
Stephanie
team.
White being the head coach.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you.
Was the head coach of Connecticut, now the head coach of Indiana.
Yeah. So it's really going to be the team that finds their chemistry. This season is short. I mean, they're adding games, but it's still pretty short season.
Short. Yeah, still short.
And it's going to be the team that finds chemistry. So having Stephanie White there, having already coached DB, really does help.
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah Boston locking down the paint like it's her personal fortress. Kelsey Mitchell finally getting the respect she's earned after grinding through the tough years. Lexi Hull bringing the grit and glue every contender needs. And now, veterans are lining up like it's 2016 free agency all over again. This is what Sheryl Swoopes didn't see coming. Clark didn't just change the narrative, she rewrote the entire playbook.
Kelsey Mitchell's balling, Caitlin continuing to impress, and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple of years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record break.
This isn't the Indiana Fever team everyone used to overlook. This is the team fans can't stop watching. Ticket sales? Through the roof. Jerseys? Flying off shelves faster than Angel Reese can throw a tantrum. National networks? Practically fighting for the rights to air Fever games. And suddenly, players around the league want in because joining Clark means TV time, playoff buzz, and the chance to build something special. Sue Bird sees it. She's been that player, the one who attracts stars and lays the foundation for a dynasty. And when she looks at Clark and this young Fever squad, she sees the beginning of something bigger. This is how greatness starts, a generational rookie, a strong core, and veterans eager to ride the wave.
There's something about the way she plays the game, her passing, her shooting, that people really identify with. So I really feel like we're poised and we're set up for a great, successful next era of Fever basketball.
So while Sue Bird is out here calmly mapping out Indiana's rise like a general plotting a takeover, Sheryl Swoopes is watching her credibility disappear faster than her hot takes age out of relevance. The Fever aren't some cautionary tale, they're the future. And if the rest of the league doesn't wake up soon, they'll be stuck on the sidelines, watching Indiana lift trophies while scrolling through last season's cold takes.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
And I can't, bro. Sheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin is dominant.
When Sue Bird speaks and says a team is about to shake things up, you don't roll your eyes, you take notes. Because Sue isn't some retired legend throwing out hot takes for clicks. She's a basketball savant. When she gives her opinion, it's not just a take, it's a prophecy. And her message about the Indiana Fever? Crystal clear. They're not knocking on the door. They've already stepped inside and claimed their seat at the table. That's where Sheryl Swoopes completely missed the mark with her tired, nobody wants to play in Indiana rant. She made it sound like Caitlin Clark had wandered into basketball purgatory. But Swoopes didn't do her homework. This wasn't some overnight rebuild that magically came together when Clark got drafted. No, the Fever have been grinding for years, stacking talent, taking their lumps, and building a foundation while most people weren't paying attention. Clark was the spark, sure. But this fire was already smoldering.
To you about the experience, the champions that have been added to this point.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what everybody talked about when we were in the playoffs last year of, we really didn't have much experience at all playing in playoff games. I don't know what the exact number was, but we really lacked in that area. So just adding pieces of, players that have been in this league, they know what it takes to win. They know what it takes to get to the finals. They know what it takes to win championships. I think is exactly what we needed in our locker room. So it's just exciting, but also they're not only really good basketball players, they're really great leaders and really great people. And I know the front office obviously really prioritized that and looking for the pieces that we wanted to add. So really thankful for that as well.
That's what Sue Bird sees. She's not getting swept up in the headline hype, she's looking under the hood. Indiana didn't just throw together a roster for social media clout, they built a real team, designed for sustained success. They've created an environment where Caitlin Clark doesn't have to drop 35 a night just to keep them afloat. This isn't some desperate franchise clinging to one rookie as a last hope. This is a well-oiled machine, and Clark is the turbo boost. Just look at their free agency moves, it says it all. The Fever used to be the WNBA's version of a highway rest stop. Now, they're a prime destination. Players aren't avoiding Indiana like it's jury duty, they're circling it on their calendars. Playing for the Fever isn't a backup plan anymore. It's a power move.
Means Sydney Colson is joining the Indiana Fever. What does that mean? Indiana is just being so greedy right now. They took DB. They took Natasha. Now they got Sydney Colson. Why would they take Sydney from us?
Why? Simple. National TV games. Sold out arenas. The Caitlin Clark effect. But more than that, it's the promise of winning. Players know that being on Clark's team means visibility. Your jersey is on primetime. Your name is in headlines. Your highlights are everywhere. And the best part? Clark doesn't hog the spotlight, she expands it. Sue Bird knows this formula inside and out. She lived it in Seattle, first with Lauren Jackson, then later with Breanna Stewart and Jewel Lloyd. And now, she sees that same recipe cooking in Indiana. Only this time, it's heating up faster.
I think Caitlin Clark is at that ascension point where she's going to be top of the MVP race. We're going to talk about her in terms of stat leaders later, but the way that the Indiana Fever just made a statement around Caitlin Clark and said like, hey, we're pushing in the chips. We're ready to win now. And DeWanna Bonner's obviously, the face of the new pieces that have come in. So obviously that's going to be the biggest needle mover in what Drew said. The market has obviously reflected.
But Sue isn't just watching the players. She's keeping tabs on the mastermind behind it all, Stephanie White. And White? She's not just some clipboard-carrying placeholder. She's been to the mountaintop. She's felt the pressure of expectations and knows exactly how to shape raw talent into a championship team. She's not out here guessing, she's game planning.
The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner in the field house. And our ultimate goal is to come back in here after we win that championship and celebrate again like we did in 2012.
Let's not forget, Stephanie White already has history with DeWanna Bonner, one of the most versatile and dangerous vets in the league. That familiarity? Huge. The trust? Already built in. And Bonner? She's not in Indiana for nostalgia or locker room morale. She's here to dominate. At 6 feet 4 inches, with a smooth jumper, a nasty post game, and the length to defend anyone * from point guards to centers, she's the perfect piece to complete a championship puzzle.
I think the biggest needle-moving free agent signing, which was also one of the more surprising moves for me, DeWanna Bonner to the Fever. That was one of the first dominoes that fell, in this offseason.
Now picture this, Bonner, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark on the floor together. Clark's dragging defenders out to the parking lot. Boston's owning the paint like it's her house. And Bonner? She's hunting mismatches, switching on defense, and sinking corner threes like it's just another day at the office. That's not just a team, that's a playoff nightmare. Bonner gives the Fever something rare, lineup flexibility. She can play the 4, the 3, even the 2 in certain sets. On defense? She switches, recovers, rotates, does everything. Pair her with Boston in the frontcourt, and you've got a defensive wall that can still score from anywhere. Late game situations? Indiana now has closers on both ends of the court.
If you look at the sort of the trend or theme of the Fever offseason, in my opinion, has been adding experience. And DeWanna Bonner has that. She's got a ton of playoff experience. She's obviously somebody who can score. She adds a lot to the defensive end because she's very mobile and she has a lot of length. So I think that's going to help them a lot.
And let's talk mindset. Clark didn't step into the WNBA just to blend in and take notes. She showed up with a pen and started rewriting the playbook. She's not some wide-eyed rookie just happy to be here. She's been the center of gravity since high school. Dropping 40 in high-pressure games? That's just another day for her. She lives for the big stage. Now, she's bringing that same fearless energy to a team that's finally built to match it. The Fever aren't just aiming for a playoff spot, they've got their eyes on parades. While Sheryl Swoopes is still spinning bedtime stories about locker room dysfunction, Sue Bird is watching something real take shape, a dynasty in the making.
Fever, if you haven't been paying attention, they are really active in ensuring that Caitlin Clark and company have a true contending lineup next season. They have Caitlin Clark, they have Aaliyah Boston. They made sure that they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. That was a big one. They acquired both Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner. They traded for Sophie Cunningham. They still have Lexi Hull. And now they have made a move that is literally my favorite of WNBA free agency. They have signed Sydney Colson, face of the WNBA.
And don't get it twisted. This isn't just about deep threes and highlight reels. It's about transformation. Clark doesn't just put up numbers. She changes everything around her. Take Aaliyah Boston, already a dominant force in the post, but now? She's working with elite spacing, the kind only Clark can create. Defenders are terrified of getting torched from 30 feet, which means Boston. She's got the paint all to herself.
Are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.